Where could you go to find a detective novel, a nail, a loaf of bread, shoes, meat, baby clothes, a toaster, a packet of seeds, a newspaper or stationery? Growing up, we understood these things to be found in different kinds of shops, sold under the auspices of different trades: the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Irish towns and villages have developed and thrived over centuries based upon the development of trade, which evolved into more complex commerce and service industries. The inheritance of a millennium of trading and commercial activity in a city like Cork is obliterated when we can find all of the aforementioned items and more in a single retail unit just over 2 miles from the city centre. In this paper, I argue that our urban history and heritage must be understood to include use, both in town centres and as a whole and in individual buildings. The economic activities of towns, and in particular their retail diversity and history, are a matter of cultural heritage and association as much as the physical fabric of individual buildings. Much has been achieved in understanding the character of our historic towns and areas by means of appraisal, designation, policy and grant support. However, as part of a globalised economy in deep recession, vacancy has become an increasingly common feature of our town centres, along with the loss of traditional and independent retailers. This may well present an opportunity in terms of finding integrated solutions to this multifaceted problem. It may also mean that we approach conserving our built heritage from a different angle, one which emphasises the need to support building uses and users over or as much as building envelope or fabric features. It is entirely possible that the objectives of architectural conservation would be achieved as a natural outcome of such a process. In order to illustrate how different towns in the same region have different experiences in terms of the vibrancy of their historic town centres, I have compared 4 towns in Kerry and Cork: Listowel, Clonakilty, Killarney and Tralee. I propose to consider vacancy, development plan policy on built heritage designation and retail, the nature of economic activity and population. Some suggestions for a way forward are developed based upon this cursory survey and upon consultations with other parties. What is our built heritage asset? Irish towns are not the repositories of Renaissance palazzos, timber-framed houses or great cathedrals. They are enjoyed and visited for different reasons. The built heritage asset of Irish towns and villages is their scale, landscape setting and street pattern. The general building stock is 2, 3 and 4 stories high. The skyline is defined by the line or lines and junctions of slate roofs, generally at an A pitch, punctured by landmarks, open spaces, monuments and steeples. It is the scale and intimacy of the traditional town and village which is attractive to visitor and resident alike. It is also the authenticity of a community carrying out the range of social and economic activities within those spaces which is of interest. The fronts of pubs, shops, offices and restaurants are the physical manifestation of the town's current and traditional activities. How do we understand, identify and protect the character of the built heritage asset? The statutory requirements of the Planning Act have done much to bring us towards a better understanding of the character of our built heritage. The appraisal and identification involved in the designation of architectural conservation areas affords us the opportunity to understand the character of an area within a town or village by placing value on groups of buildings and the quality of their assemblage in one area, as opposed to considering an individual building for record of protected structure status. In following up designation with management and policy objectives, an integrated approach to a wide range of issues, including land use, public realm and services, may be taken. The ACA is useful, therefore, to identify character and that which may be unique or special, but particularly if it can be incorporated into local initiatives for regeneration, environmental improvements and tourism. It can be an important starting point and an opportunity for management of the built heritage asset as part of broader objectives towards the health of an area. I argue that we need to do still more than this in the current climate. So what the evidence on the ground indicates. I visited the 4 towns to assess the impact of the recession on town centre vibrancy, with particular reference to retail vacancies. On site, I completed a cursory survey of the number of vacancies in the principal street or streets of a town, and that excluded historic vacancies. That would be change of use from pub to residential, which you're probably familiar with, the presence of independent retailers, the presence of out-of-town retail centres, and the occurrence of original historic shop frontages. Off-site, I compared development plans under the headings of retail strategy, built heritage, and major policy objectives according to the specialisation of the town and population data. Listowel is one of 15 heritage towns in Ireland, 2 of which you'll be hearing from later. Listowel Writers' Week and Listowel Race Week are synonymous with the town. The population of Listowel is 4,200, with an urban extension of another 20. It is a market town with equal employment in manufacturing, commerce and services. The Town Development Plan 2009-15 recognises the heritage value of the town and its tourism potential. This forms the context to many policies, including retail. The record of protected structures has 97 entries and 9 ACAs are designated in the town. In terms of its retail strategy, it is an objective to improve the town's retail attraction, maintain the primacy of the town centre, and use the tourism, sporting and artistic strengths of Listowel to support this. On site, it was found that there were less than 10 premises to let, that there remains a great vitality in the town with all kinds of small shops, many of which retain their original fronts. The majority were independent retailers with names associated with the area. One supermarket exists on the edge of the town. Listowel is striking for the number of pubs and the plasterwork decoration common on many buildings, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. Next up was Tralee, which has a population of close to 21,000 with another rural population of 30,000. Nearly 3/4 of the workforce are employed in administration, services and sales, with less than 1/4 in manufacturing. As the county town of County Kerry, Tralee features fine terraces, a planned street and square, as well as landmark buildings. Part of its character has always been as a retail hub, not just for Kerry but parts of Cork and Limerick also. Tourism has featured strongly in the town's past with the Rose of Tralee Festival and the development of other attractions more recently. The town plan recognises the need to promote the town's existing environmental and heritage assets. The plan has nearly 340 listings on the record of protected structures and considers 7 areas within the town to merit ACA designation. In the late 1990s, a retail park was developed 2.8 kilometres outside the town centre, which has acted as a regional draw for retail in the area. The current plan acknowledges that despite the objective of the 2003 plan to maintain the vibrancy of the town and support its traditional retail role as the centre of social and business interaction, practical issues such as the demand for surface car parking and larger sized retail units has resulted in increased decentralisation from the town centre to the suburbs. The retail policy objectives of the current plan are comprehensive and aim to improve and enhance the environment of the retail core, i.e. the town centre. On site, it was found that there were approximately 50 retail units that were vacant or closed on and off the town's 6 main thoroughfares. There were very few original shop fronts in the town, and this is probably as a victim of its own success. A busy retail town like that would have changed in the 1960s to plastic and changed again, let's say, to pastiche timber in the 90s, 80s and 90s. Modern shopping centre and lane redevelopments featured further vacancies and were worse affected. Included in the vacancies were former stationers, former children's clothes shop, butchers, travel agents, toy shop, building society and supermarket chain. As you can imagine, the reasons for the vacancy differ. Some could not compete with the larger out-of-town competitors in their speciality. Online shopping affected others, and global market changes damaged others still.